Well, everybody, I want to welcome you to a very special Launching Life Journeys podcast because this one is personal. I have a personal friend that I've met on my journey when I embarked into the RV industry, and he's not only a salt of the earth human being, he's been an RVer for multiple decades, and he now is somebody that you guys are all going to want to know if you happen to be in the greater Fort Worth, Texas area. Why? Because the number one thing that RVers do once they back into their spot is they say, what do we want to eat? Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce all of you to my good friend, Mike Culpepper from Culpepper's Smokehouse. Welcome to the podcast, buddy.
Thank you, Willie. I'm so glad you're having me on today. I'm honored. I appreciate you.
Yeah, what started off as a podcast where our only listeners were my mother, now we've got RVers engaging, we've got our dealer groups across the country, and we didn't want to make the podcast about us because, we're just one of many manufacturers. There's a lot of great options out there, even if somebody doesn't choose a Heartland branded product. But it's more about the lifestyle and the relationships and the connections that you make. Just like the connection I made with you and your beautiful wife when I met you a few years ago at the Fredericksburg, Texas. We were having a rally. You were there, and I was telling everybody how the West was won and all the things that we're doing and all the noise that I make. And he kind of pulled this young cowboy aside, and you and I were able to have a good heart-to-heart conversation. I learned a lot from you, which, of course, I appreciate that. But I really appreciate our friendship. And I'm just really excited because, in the area where you are, for everybody listening and viewing, Mike is coming to us from his town of Burleson, Texas, which, if you don't have a map handy, it's south of Fort Worth by about, what would you say, 20 minutes?
Yeah, 15 miles, 20 miles.
So I tell people, you're located between Fort Worth and Cleburne. Alvarado's a little southeast of you, but just you're in the heart of it all. What's more impressive is for the RV community that this podcast is for. Before we got on the call, I just wanted to look. There are 15 RV parks that are very, very close to you. And as I said in the intro,
major RV parks, not little ones. They're big RV parks.
Yeah, and I want to talk about those.
Within like 4 miles of here.
Okay, and you're talking like over 100 spots, right? So these are big.
Big.
Yeah.
Jellystone, the Yogi Bear RV park, it's out here on 35 and Bethesda Road. So I mean, it's right here, and that's what I'm geared up to do is to take RVers food.
Yeah. And so that's what I want everybody to know. I don't care who the manufacturer is. It's no secret. A lot of the industry knows. The internet has exposed all of us. There's only so many options of appliances that are out there. And even in our best of efforts, they are far away from a chef's kitchen. So, when you're on the road, especially with your family, that is kind of the challenge. Whether you're somebody that's trying to budget, if you've got little campers with you, a family of 4, it's very easy to spend over $80 at a restaurant. And you can't sustain that if you plan on traveling a lot, if it exceeds your budget. So, where can you get great food that's easy to, prepare? Well, again, folks,
my stuff is all already cooked and ready. And all you do is just take it out of the freezer. And when it comes out of the boiling pot of water, it's ready within 15, 20 minutes out of the freezer on the table.
Yeah. So for everybody listening and viewing, again, what's really unique about Mike, he doesn't just have great barbecue, but he makes it and prepares it in such a way and packages it to make it very easy for RVers to enjoy amazing Texas barbecue for their family at their campsite. So when you said about taking that bag, you taught me a word. I don't know if it's French. I don't know if it's Italian. Sous vide. I don't think I can spell it without looking at it. But what is sous vide? That is one of the methods to get your food ready to go for the family at the at the RV park.
You can do the same thing with a pot of water on your stove. You don't have to have a sous vide machine.
Okay.
The sous vide machine is. Let me take this one off of here. got one in a pot of water here.
Okay.
That this is a sous vide machine,
Okay.
and you set this on a temperature, and then within anywhere between 30 minutes and 5 hours, it will get that water that the bags of meat are in
Yep.
to that temperature, and it'll just hold it there steady. You don't have to watch it like something on a stove.
Okay.
If you got a pot of water on a stove, which is the way I do it most of the time because it's quicker. This here, you have to wait for this to heat the water up. And but if you just take your food right out of the freezer, put it in a pot of boiling water, you can boil it for like 3 to 5 minutes and then let it simmer for 15 minutes. It's ready to cut the bag open, and all these bags of food are in 1 pound portions.
Okay.
And then on the ribs, I do half rack portions. And
That's
then what I'm doing
fantastic.
is once I get through cooking, I take that and put it in a vacuum chamber and put that meat in a vacuum chamber and then weigh it up and then put it in the freezer. And then at that point, it's good for 3 to 4 years
Mm.
with it being that vacuum. It's not like a food saver bag. It's an industrial process.
Well, and the one thing I want to give you a lot of credit for too, Mike, as I've gotten to, know you over the years, you've done a tremendous job on your own, just, through word of mouth, doing things the right way. You already have a great reputation in Burleson with, for years you've been in the construction industry doing a lot of remodels and things, and people obviously know you through that. What really sparked, I guess, your interest in barbecue? I mean, is it just it's a part of you because you grow up in Texas? Is it you because you guys, used to RV for 20 plus years and you just said, man, it's hard to just prepare your own barbecue at the campsite? What kind of led to you with Culpepper Smokehouse?
Well, I've got my remodeling business, and it started out with me. I was cooking. I've been cooking for a while,
Okay.
but I was given these like I'd go do a $5,000 job,
Okay.
and after the job's over, I say, "Here, let me thank you with some brisket or some pulled pork or whatever." And then I would do that, and they say, "Man, that's they'd call me back. Hey, I want to buy some of that." Well,
Okay.
I didn't want to sell it without being completely legal, so I
Okay.
took a step back. I went and did my food manager course, the state, all the inspections. They've come out and inspected my kitchen. My, I've got a smoker trailer that I carry around, and then they inspected my smokehouse. And we'll look at the smokehouse here in a little bit, but I I just get everything to where it's all legal and clean. And another thing is, I got to the point where I was going to restaurants, and I know that the same labor pool that I'm trying to hire for construction is working at the restaurants. And I don't want none of them people touching my food. I mean, it's just I've got germaphobe,
Yeah.
So here, there's nobody that does anything on this meat except me. I go and I shop, I bring it, I prepare it, I cook it, I bag it, I distribute it. Nobody is touching it but me, and I'm all the time gloved up and everything very clean.
Yeah. Well, and that's one thing I want to hit on again for the listeners and the viewers. You took the time, you made the investment to have full compliance with food safety. And I think, that's typical to how you've always been and done things the right way. So if, there's those of you that, again, are in the Fort Worth area at any of the 15 RV parks around Burleson, I'm telling you, if you guys want basically, you know, from from the animal to your bag, ready to go in less than 30 minutes. Some of the most delicious barbecue touched by only one person that's following the process and guidelines of the state mandated food compliance. Culpepper Smokehouse is going to take real good care of you.
Well, I mean,
So,
I've always liked the little roadside barbecue stands.
mhm,
I pull over, but when you do that and you see all of the varmints flying around, and I mean, I'm completely in screened in area, and my kitchen's closed in. Very, the fly's going to get in every now and then, but for the most part, it's just completely different than a roadside barbecue stand.
Yeah, and I want to invite everybody. So 817-229-1853 is the phone number you're going to call Culpepper Smokehouse. Obviously, when you go there and meet with Mike, I don't think that you have a problem. There it is. You
There
don't
you
have a
go.
problem to show people the setup, right? When they
No,
come there
I
to get.
love people to come and give them a tour.
Sure. Now, I also want to ask too, just for the sake of questions, as you and I we met at a rally. Do you have the ability, a Culpepper Smokehouse, to outside of packaged, meat for, per order, will you do barbecue for events?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and I do all that by myself too. I show up and I've got it perfected in such a way that I can take this and I can prepare it here before I go. And then when I get there, I have a long steamer table, and I just continuously keep it at that, above 140 degrees. And then whenever I get to the event, we go ahead and crank it up to 170. And everything stays moist, warm. I serve it. We do the brisket. I've got some packages here. You want to pull out these packages and look at?
Yeah, let's take a look. And also too, I want you to let the fine folks listening and watching to know what does your menu consist of, because as you and I talked a lot about one of the biggest things that I've learned since coming in this industry was just how much time goes into planning and scheduling travel. So there's a lot of people right now, Mike, that they're already starting to look into 2024 as far as, hey, when are we going to go down there by Alvarado, and setting their calendars. Well, now they can start maybe making appointments, especially if there's rallies. So before you get into the menu items, typically for you to come and cook for a party, what's the size, just so people know that you're comfortable with? Is it like 30 to 50?
50 and under.
Okay. All right, so we invite anybody that's got a group of 50 campers and under. Get a hold of Culpepper Smokehouse. Again, 817-229-1853. We're going to be giving you the contact information as people come in and out of this podcast. So let's now talk about the menu, Mike. What all do you offer all the customers in terms of food, and then how it's going to be packaged?
Right now, all I'm doing is 4 items. I've got brisket, pulled pork, chicken, and ribs. And this is I brought out 2 packages of the briskets. If you know anything about brisket, you have a fatty portion and a lean portion. It's the point and the flat. So this package here, you can tell is a lot more lean than this, but different people prefer different things. And I try to package them pretty much, to where you can see
The
but
marbling there?
this is brisket is $24.98 a pound.
Okay.
And at $24.98 a pound, that seems like a lot of money, but it's not. I mean, you take, I shoot for around a 16-pound brisket, and by the time I cook it, or by the time I get it, I trim it because I trim it very aggressively. I cook it and it shrinks. I end up with about 6 pounds of sellable product out of
Okay.
16, not
Yeah.
even half. So, and the amount of time it takes to do a brisket, you're looking at, you got to go get it. You get it here, you start a fire, you spend 12 hours, do a 8 or 10 hour rest, then you're packaging, and just a lot of time involved in one.
Yeah.
But that was the brisket. This is chicken breasts, which I put two chicken breasts in a package, and the chicken breasts are 17.25 a pound. And I try to get everything pretty close to a pound bag. This is pulled pork, and it is 17.99 a pound. And then the ribs, I'm more go by just half of a rack, and I do a full spare rib, but they're 18.75 a pound. But the weight varies on the size of the package. But that's the 4 items that I do right now, and then I'm doing beans too that I do. Uh, right here. See, this is some of the trimmings that I do. So whenever I trim up my brisket,
Yep.
I have all these trimmings that I had to figure out something to do with all of this. I mean, good meat,
Yeah.
but it wasn't good enough to leave on my brisket. So this is beans. I do a
Okay.
big pot of red beans. I drop in a bag of this brisket, little chili powder, and wonderful red beans. And as far as like the rubs and stuff that I put on the meat, it's real complicated. Salt, pepper, and garlic. No, no secret recipe other than just time. Once it
Okay.
comes out here to the smoker, just low and slow over oak, open fire. No pellets. No easy bake oven. It's just you got to sit there and every few minutes throw a log on and babysit it.
Mm.
But it makes a lot of difference.
Well, and that's the one thing too that I want to make very, very clear to everybody. We're not just talking about a local farmer in Texas that goes to the slaughterhouse, gets the meat processed, and then just freeze packs it and gives it to you. Folks, this food is seasoned, smoked, prepared, and packaged. It is ready to go. So, for any of the 15 RV parks, if you're listening, you got a great resource for some of the best barbecues south of Fort Worth that you guys can get that money can buy, and it is ready for your family to enjoy. You just got to boil it. You can do it on any of the RV stove tops that you have with that glass burner. Just fold it up and like Mike kind of outlined, you've made it as easy as possible for families to eat some great food when they're RVing. They don't have
Well,
to eat out of a can.
within 15 to 20 minutes, you can go to your freezer, pull it out, drop it in a pot of water. What I do is, it takes a certain amount of time for that pot of water to boil.
Yeah.
So you get hot water to start with and put it in your pot, put it on the stove. You take this bag that you took out of the freezer and you put it in your sink, and you just let that water circulate over this bag. So that starts the defrost process. By the time the water boils, you take the meat out of the sink, drop it in the water. Once it's boiling, you do like 3 minutes. You don't want to cook it more because it's completely cooked.
Yeah.
So after 3 minutes of boiling, you're at 210 degrees. Then you turn your dial down to a low simmer, like on 2 or 3 on your dial,
Yep.
and then leave it sit there, and it's just bubbling every now and then.
Mm.
And then within 12 or 15 minutes, you take that bag, and people get kind of freaked out when I tell them to boil their meat. Well, this is completely cooked, and all you're doing is immersing this in water instead of putting it in the oven. Where if you're trying to heat something up in the oven, it'll dry it out.
Yeah.
This has all the original juice. Once this comes unthawed, this bag fills up. This one, the chicken breast, was cooked in aluminum foil, the last step with butter. So once this comes all unthawed, when you take it out of that pot of water, it's this deep in butter.
Yeah.
And you cut that. I mean, butter. How much better? That's a descriptive word right there.
I'm telling you, I think
It
you
ain't
got some of
good
the
for
listeners
you.
already calling your number.
Yes, it ain't good for you, but it's real good.
There it is. Well, I had made the joke because a lot of the other members from our rally, they know you well, and they said, Willie, down here we say when something's good, you'd slap your grandma. I said, well, hey, I don't want any grandmas being slapped, but the word's getting out about your food, and I think you've done a tremendous job of taking something that I guess maybe was a hobby, maybe it was a passion, but now you're paying it forward and you're doing the right way and being in compliance with the food administration there in Texas. And I just think, again, when so many people camp, that's what I hear all the time when I go to the rallies is, it's just very difficult for us to prepare food. Well, again, if you're going to be in the Fort Worth area camping, what a great resource you have with Culpepper Smokehouse, giving you guys everything you need in an easy vacuum sealed bag that within 25-30 minutes, again, you're going to have the best brisket around. You and I talk too. You've always been a guy that's been big on transparency. If people have questions, they can talk to you. So even with, your handyman and construction background, when you'd be on site, you'd always walk people through everything you do. You're doing the same thing now with your beautiful setup. So why don't you take the camera into where the magic is and kind of let's, at least for the viewers, let's let people see your setup and just kind of talk through and explain what you've put together.
Okay, so you can see inside the bottom of this, I've got just a half of a barrel that holds fire.
Yep.
And as it comes up, I've got a piece of flat steel here that the fire comes up and hits that steel, and then it goes both directions.
Okay.
So when I'm cooking, this piece of wood right here lays on top of this fire, the firebox, and then whenever I throw it in there, it ignites instantly.
Okay. So you've
And
already got the wood curing so you can keep that fire going, and you're not doing direct heat, correct? It's an offset.
it's offset both directions. See,
Okay.
this is just the lid right here, and this is a real fancy counterweight. That's a bucket of sand.
Mm.
I just kept putting sand in there till it got heavy enough to do my counterweight.
Now,
That's,
now this beautiful setup doesn't look like something that you can buy at Walmart. So kind of talk us through, how did you develop or engineer this setup here?
this is just haydock blocks. It's 4 foot wide and 12 foot long, worth of dry stack haydock blocks. Nothing's
Okay.
boarded in. It's sitting on a concrete slab, and you can see the screened in. Everything's screened in with screen doors. So whenever I'm cooking, I've got control of the environment
Yep.
and the insects, we were talking about before. But side to side, the temperature stays within 10 degrees of each side. And then every 15 or 20 minutes, I throw one of these logs on there. And I've just got an abundance of logs. I've got a landscape business down the road, and
Okay.
I swapped them out barbecue for wood.
Well,
So,
there you go. The old
whenever
barter system.
see all the wood over here, and then
Yeah.
way out here in the back, you can see the log splitter, and you see all that back there.
Oh,
I don't know if
yeah.
I can't
Oh,
really
yeah.
see it. But whenever they're doing the making cords of wood,
Yep.
after it gets 15 inches long, if it's any shorter than that, they can't sell it
Okay.
is in the cords. So I go down there and take my dump trailer, and they load me up, and I bring it down here and dump it. And when we get a little slow at work, we just sit back here and chop wood.
Now
But
listen,
then
I've always heard that there's three things you don't talk about with strangers. That's religion, politics, and barbecue. But I know that you're somebody that's always open to talk about barbecue. I guess one question I have in all of your years of experience is, does the wood matter? You know, you always hear about oak or hickory or whatever else. Are you using a specific type of wood?
post oak.
Okay.
And the main reason is that is like native to my area. I
Okay.
think the main thing you want to do is not have dirty smoke. Like when I opened that up a while ago,
Yep.
that coal bed is almost down to nothing because the fire's almost out.
Okay.
But when I'm cooking, you don't have that white billowy smoke.
Okay.
Like a while ago when that come up out of there, that doesn't happen when I'm cooking because I maintain that fire. That happens when your fire is just about to go out, and then it's struggling to light that log.
Yeah.
What you want to do is keep them coals hot and keep constant new logs on there. Then you don't get the dirty smoke, which is that white, nasty
Yeah.
white smoke. It's
And
a
just to
very
give
clean smoke.
And just to give everybody some context too, with your menu items, so let's just kind of go through it. So brisket, how long do you prepare brisket there on the smoker? How long will a brisket go with Culpepper Smokehouse?
About 12 hours on the cooker itself. And then
Okay.
once it gets done, I take them to around 205 and to where they're probe tender. That's more important than temperature. is the tenderness when you stick that Insta-Read thermometer in there.
Yep.
It'll feel kind of like butter. You just,
Okay.
okay, it's done. And then once I get to that point, I put it in a food warmer overnight. Okay. So I'm cooking it for like 12 hours, and then I turn this food warmer on, and I leave them for about 10 hours. And then after that 10-hour period, I take them out and let them cool down to about 140 or 130, and then I have a designated refrigerator that is just for taking hot meat and putting in the refrigerator to cool it on down to 35 degrees. And once it cools down to that temperature, all of that fat and everything is kind of congealed to where I can cut it and put it in the bag and not lose any of that juice. Because if you try to cut it while it's hot, then all of the juice is left in the pan and not transferred into that bag.
Well, the one thing I want to tell you so far in this interview is I'm probably the most starving I've ever been, thanks to you.
You're still thinking about my butter.
Yeah, well, I'm going to tell you, and I'm no MIT or Harvard grad, as people know me, but when you take 12 plus 10, you're telling me that people are buying their packaged brisket ready to go for their family. You've got 22 hours in just cooking it alone in that bag that they're buying.
That's not shopping for it, and that ain't cutting it up and bagging it and processing it, then meeting with the people and delivering it. There's a lot of time.
So let's talk about that. Outside of the 22 hours you have on your brisket, and then probably about the same with your pulled pork and other menu items, you will do delivery. So how does that work with Culpepper Smokehouse?
See, this isn't a restaurant.
Right.
This is strictly that phone number. You call me, hey, I got 10 people coming. I want to feed 10 people. I know that if you're feeding 10, you need 5 pounds of whatever meat you choose. Yep. And once it gets over $100, I'll deliver it in this area somewhere. I'll deliver it with that ice chest and that sous vide machine. And that sous vide machine, they can put a small deposit down. And then once their guests get there, all their meat's been sitting out there in that sous vide. They just pull it out. Nobody had to do any kind of work. But all the guests get there, they pull it out, they cut the bags, they pour it on the plate. And another thing about when you're camping, you really want to be out there barbecuing, but you don't want to spend 10 hours barbecuing. Right. So these ribs, nothing I cook has barbecue sauce on it. Okay. So a lot of times the last step in the rib process is putting it on the grill and then just kind of putting a mop sauce on it a little bit. So you can still do that if you want to barbecue. You take this stuff out of your freezer, go ahead and defrost it like you would normally do, and then crank your grill up. And then within, 30 minutes instead of 5 hours, you actually got to sit out there at your campsite and barbecue, and it comes right off your grill, and you serve it to the people at the picnic table.
Mm. And I got to believe too, and I just kind of want to get back into just your life's experiences too with RV. And so, like I said, everybody, we have Mike Culpepper on from Culpepper Smokehouse, 817-229-1853, just south of Fort Worth, Texas. If you get to Cleburne, you've gone too far, turn around on 174, get back up to Burleson, get a hold of Mike and tell him Willie sent you. On your journey to I can just envision with the 15 RV parks that are around your area and more people getting to know you because you're starting to take off like a bottle rocket. A lot of people probably ask you too, Mike, over your years of 22 years, I think, of RVing experience with your family and just growing up with it. Do you get a lot of questions when you show up at people's places just about your camping experience and things, places you like to go?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We have a wide circle of friends that we try to make as many rallies as we can in a year, which I'm still working. My wife, Vicky's retired, and we're getting close to going and traveling all the time, but I'm still working my construction and the barbecue business. So we only take 1 or 2, maybe 3 trips a year, and always enjoy seeing all the friends from Heartland. That's what we do is those rallies.
Yeah. Now, just and I'm not saying you're delivering here, but in the great state of Texas, if you were to say 4 places that people should go, and maybe if they don't have to camp in the area, where would be 4 great places in the state of Texas that you think people should go check out, in your opinion?
My favorite place to go is Tyler State Park, but you can't get the big rigs in there.
Okay.
I
So you
mean,
gotta have
it's
a small
so,
travel trailer?
yeah, you got to have a small trailer because it was
Okay.
built back in, you know, early 50s. And I've been in there with a big trailer, but it's not fun.
No?
But
But now what makes you like that place so much?
the pine trees, raccoons, and the lake, and it's just really a pretty. And it's far enough away from me that it's a trip, but you're not all day driving.
Yeah.
And we really like Fredericksburg. We like going down to the what is it,
Yeah.
Lady Bird Johnson, right there at the airport, and they've been scheduling those rallies where the planes are doing all the stuff at the same time, which is
Yeah.
really neat.
Well, and what I learned too is there's a ton of wineries around there,
Yeah.
so and I'm betting it won't be long before all of our pals at the Heartland rallies start saying, maybe we should just get a hold of old Mike and see if he'll do us a solid and cook for all of us. I mean, I know for me, backing into the spot and being with the family, I don't want to say I'm lazy, but man, if I could just go and knock on a couple RV doors and get a whole bunch of people to go all in on a Thursday and say, hey, look, there's 35 of us. Let's get a hold of Culpeppers. We're right outside of Burleson, and we're over that $100 limit. We can get them here, and heck, he could probably just cater the whole thing to help us all out.
And
So,
then I'm set up to cater. I mean, I've got a smoker trailer with a
okay.
smoker on it. I mean, it's a big trailer, but then I've got a smaller trailer that I can haul around just that, the ice chest full of food. And
Mm-hmm.
what I do is heat that up real quick, and then dump the whole boiling water and everything into the ice chest, and it'll sit in that ice chest for 3 to 4 hours without losing any heat. And
Mm.
then when you get your steamer table up to temperature, you just take the meat right out of that ice chest, put it in the steamer table, and then that steamer table keeps it warm without drying it out.
Man.
That's
So
the
why
whole
don't
thing
you
is you don't want to eat dry barbecue.
Yeah, right. Well, like I said, it's been clear to me that you've done everything the right way to be in compliance, making safety a priority for your patrons that are going to be enjoying your barbecue. So, again, just to recap, Culpepper Smokehouse, your 4 menu items are,
Brisket, pulled pork, ribs, and chicken.
and
And
it
then if you're
is,
on Facebook, I've got the Culpepper Smokehouse page. I've got
okay.
a page on there that's Mike Culpepper that I've got videos on, but Culpepper Smokehouse has got a lot of pictures and videos of all the different ways to warm this stuff up and let me help you cater. I've got a video that says, let me help you cater your event, which I
Awesome.
show up with whatever meat you want in that ice chest with the sous vide machine, bring it to your location, show you how to use it. And then when you're done, you bring the sous vide machine and ice chest back to me. And it's just so easy. No
Perfect.
mess. I had a lady that did a Christmas party about 2 or 3 months ago, and she got the whole ice chest sous vide set up and put it out in her garage. So she, sometimes when you're cooking in your house, you stink your house up.
Oh, yeah.
So this is out in the garage, and you don't have a lot of smell with this because it's sealed in those bags.
Right.
So she set her ice chest, sous vide machine, and all the meats out in the garage cooking. All her guests come in one at a time, 5 at a time. Once they all got there, then all she had to do is go out there and grab the ice chest, bring it in, cut the bags, pour it in the serving dish, and everybody went through the line. Everything's right,
Yeah.
170 degrees, perfect,
Awesome.
and no
So,
cleanup. She didn't have
right.
to clean up nothing. No pots
Well,
and pans, no silverware, no nothing.
I'm telling you, you could be the #1 barbecue company for RVers in all of Fort Worth area. So again,
I'm
guys,
ready.
yeah. Well, we got Mike Culpepper again, Culpepper Smokehouse, for more information on his amazingly prepared, packaged, signed, sealed, delivered, ready to give you an experience like you've never had with your taste buds. Get a hold of Mike. Tell him Willie sent you. For more information, 817-229-1853, or look up Culpepper Smokehouse on Facebook for videos, for questions. Inquire. You will hear from Mike himself. Don't overwhelm him too much. Parties under 50. Mike will make your guys' experience seamless and easy. Mike, you are one of the best. I love you. I wish you and your wife and your family all the best. I want to thank you for taking some time to be on the Launching Life's Journeys podcast, giving us a sneak peek of that beautiful setup you have at Culpepper's Smokehouse headquarters in Burleson, Texas, around 15 RV parks. So if you and your family want some well-prepared food, Mike is your ticket. 817-229-1853. You got anything else, Mike?
I just want to tell you one more time how much I appreciate you putting me on this podcast and singing my praises. It means the world to me.
Well, we care a lot about you, buddy. You got an amazing family, and you're good people, as I said, salt of the earth. So I wish you guys nothing but the best. Happy Thanksgiving. Get your orders in now as planning continues going into 2024. The last I checked, Texas doesn't have snow like we do in Elkhart, Indiana. So if you are a lucky RVer that's still in your camping season, get a hold of Mike and tell him Willie sent you. Thank you so much for being a guest today on the Launching Life's Journeys podcast.
Thank you, Willie.
I'm Will Miller, and I want to thank you for tuning in to the Launching Life's Journeys podcast, brought to you by Heartland RVs. Stay tuned for our next destination.